So we're back with episode 4 called The Devil's Road of the Vampire Lestat. In this episode, we really get to flesh out what we know as the Devil's Minion, which is the relationship between Armand and Daniel, Maker and Fledgling. And to pick up off at the end of episode 3, where we see the old drummer who had left the band, he's in a addict group, like a AA group, and Armand is there, and lo and behold, he's going by the name Arun. And that's why I said Arun, Armand, Amadeo, Amy Winehouse. He is on his 12-step program in this episode. Like, he is on his apology tour, and he has a speech for everybody that he has done wrong. And it's cringy, and also like, really, Armand, like, you really think if you just go around saying I'm sorry to all the people that you fucked over, that's enough? And with this whole thing of Devil's Minion, we really see how now that Daniel is Armand's fledgling, the impact that has on him. He keeps talking about he has episodes of where he's just out and about or just going through life, and all of a sudden everything around him just mutes out, and all he can hear and feel is Armand. And there's a time when they're talking down the street, when they're walking down the street, and Armand lets him know that, the same thing happens for him and he can't control it. But as Armand is going on his apology tour, just about everybody that he's offering these apologies to, they are not receptive of it. Starting with Lestat. Lestat is in his coffin, and he is awakened, and he's awakened out of his sleep to find that Armand has made it on his tour bus, and he like, how the hell you get up in here? And Armand goes to tell him that he wrote a letter, and he's like, I'm gonna read out this letter to you. And Lestat is like, it's bullshit. He's literally kind of laughing in Armand's face, and he calls him a fuck cloud. I find it, that is another way to call him a fuck boy, and I would have never thought of that, because he is like a fuck cloud, because he is, I don't want to say a cloud in a way. I get, what was he kind of trying to say, that he's light, kind of like not light as a feather, but light in a way as he's hollow, like he's almost transparent, he's translucent. There's nothing there. There's nothing to see. And being that this is from Lestat's perspective, we know that that's kind of how Lestat feels about Armand, because even from episode 3, he's like, bro, you always hanging on, like you always a third wheel, you always desperate, bitch, get up out my face. And he goes to take this shower, this blood bath, and he knows what he is doing to Armand, just teasing him. And so it's like, even though he doesn't like Armand, I think he most definitely enjoys the effect that he has on Armand, knowing that Armand is pretty much like enthralled with him, especially sexually. Because Lestat is very attractive, and he's very off the wall. And when it comes to the vampire laws that Armand, just it claims that he lives by, Lestat goes against all of that. So he really is like this paramour, like, ooh, what is this? And Lestat acts like he almost kind of like accepts Armand's apology, only to invite Armand to his show, to then embarrass him in front of the whole audience, because he has this song, I think it's called Big Bad Boss or whatever, but it's pretty much talking about how this person is pussy in every way, like he's a wimp, a simp, all of this. And it's so interesting to see the drummer, I can't remember his name, but the drummer is kind of, he knows Armand from the AA group, and he's kind of like, as they're on the stage looking like, what the hell going on? And we come to find out that he is back with the band because he met Armand, and he pretty much had Armand wipe away all of the bad memories. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, I know this shit gonna come back up again. But even as Armand is on his apology tour, he goes and apologizes to Daniel at a bowling alley. And Daniel's like, hold up, shawty. Don't even come up here with that bullshit, because I've done this before. I am an addict myself. Don't you remember? And he pretty much kind of called him a deadbeat daddy. Like, you ain't left no child support or nothing. I don't have any special powers. And you killed him on a private jet. And it's like he did this vindictive act to Daniel because of Louis. And it's like he's made it even more fucked up that now, even as a vampire, he's still like on the other side and he can't do shit. Like, of course he can kill people, but like he said, he doesn't have any special powers or anything. So it's just like a mundane lifestyle where he also has this yearning for Armand as well. And pretty much ain't nobody really for here for Armand's apology tour. He just looks so desperate. So desperate. But once again, I feel like that is one of his superpowers. He always sees himself as some victim, like naivete. And I think Armand really knows how to use that, even when disarming. Like, that's his way of disarming. Like, he'll let other people feel like they got one over on him, like, oh, you're so childish, you're so this. But he's downplaying it. Just like, and that showed up when Daniel and Lestat are once again having a whatever you want to call it, interview, but it ends up being catty. I do love how, even though Lestat can top Daniel in these moments because he's more powerful than him, Lestat always shows his weakness by how easily Daniel can get under his skin. Like, it's like everything he says something to Daniel, and Daniel's energy is like, yeah, but your mama. And it's just so interesting to see how Lestat is always easily frazzled. Because as they're arguing, Lestat is like, do you really believe that Armand did not know that you were catching on? Like, do you really believe that he was just so blinded by his love for Louis that he didn't see that you were there getting everything? Like, everything is a part of his act. And he goes to say, like, was it really love? Because it wasn't the love that you thought it was. So pretty much it wasn't really about Louis, it was really about Daniel. And that makes sense in a way, because we see that Daniel, we know from season 2, he saved Daniel back in the 70s. And it was always under the guise that, oh, I did it for Louis. But it was like, did you really do it for Louis? Or did you do it because you really have an attachment and a love for Daniel? And that really was an eye opener. But then now you kind of feel like, well, who is it that Armand really is caught up on? He was caught up on Lestat, and he got to Louis because of Lestat. But it's like he found Daniel through Louis. You'll never know. And to go back to Lestat in this episode, we truly see, like, this man is suffering from abandonment issues because of his mama. We see that the first time, not really the first time, but we would say the first time that he vocalizes her abandonment and his mistreatment of him is once again she's fucking some other man, and Lestat can hear it. And he goes in there and he's like, you're ignoring me. All of this, what you're doing. And she's like, oh, you came in here to tell me that I'm annoying you. And then we see like images of it in between, but she kills the man that was already on top of her in a kind of appease and soothe Lestat in the moment. She like goes into her mommy mode to like comfort him, but she comforts him by fucking him. It's girl, it's weird. It's crazy as hell. And then they're on this beach, and she's pretty much saying, what are we gonna be 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now? Like, she's like, I'm not a woman, I'm not a mother, I'm not any of these things. I am, I guess, the evil that's lurking. And you could just tell in these moments that Lestat, it's almost like he's willing to go into this dysfunctional imbalance with his mama because he's still seeking some validation from her, like validation that a child is looking from its parent. And it's really sad when you think about it, because it almost kind of puts into perspective that yes, Lestat is an adult. He's the vampire in this situation, but it almost makes you wonder, how much power does he really have in this dynamic? Because she is his mother, and she essentially knew him when he was a human. And she knew how battered and tattered his spirit, his psyche, everything was. Because she herself had that. And it's like Lestat is arrested development. I really truly feel like he's not past that age of when we first met him, when he was a little boy, being tormented by his daddy and his brothers. And even he starts singing a song like that, about his brother loving him with his fist and things like that. And so they're on this beach. They have made little coffins out of the boats, and he gets up and sees that his mama done left him. His mama done left him. And in real time, after she abandons him again in this episode, like she claims she done went off and done whatever, and Lestat once again is texting, calling her, where are you? Like he's so needy. He's so needy, and also just so hurt by every time she leaves him, because just like he also said, I only saw you twice last century. So, he has a show again. And one of the guys that I think was from episode 1 that wanted an autograph from him, he's really into, like, yeah, y'all know the vampires are real. And he comes and gives Lestat and the whole band a true American experience and give them a mass shooting. His lawyer is hit. I think some band members are hit. And pretty much there's a dissemblance of the band. And he's on the tour bus singing and everything. And his mama finally comes back. And he was like, where were you? And she was like, I was only gone for like a week. He was like, no, 9 days. Don't play with me. And she's just kind of like, she's so nonchalant. Like, well, why are you so worried? Like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, so you're just going to give up? And he's like, bitch, I know you saw what happened. Pretty much that's his energy. And she's like, I was with the voices, pretty much the other vampires. And this is where they're talking about the great conversion. And she referenced it when they were on the beach, the conversion of turning everyone into vampires. And essentially that is what's happening, because Armand even mentions it to Daniel. And he's like, Lestat he's very dangerous right now. He's encouraging all of these vampires to come out, and they're turning people left and right to the point where it's so many vampires. It's not they're gonna run out of humans. Like, it's so many. He was like, there's more deaths than there are births, and we see how that is impacting even the vampires, because the other vampire voices, because we heard in season 2 and even early on in season 3, they were very hurtful by Lestat and also Louis through the book by exposing them. But through his singing, they're feeling empowered. And when his mama is holding his hands, she's like, don't you hear your influence? Like, pretty much, no, like, lean into this shit. Go full on villain. And his mama is just a bad influence in that moment. Because Lestat, I think in that moment, wanted to pull back and be like, I'm done with it. And she's like, no, we just getting started. Like, no, we got shit to do. We got the world to take over. We got motherfuckers to kill. This lady is, she might have had the organs, but she ain't nobody's mama. Louis and Claudia. Regina right now, because she's a waitress. And we see that Louis continues to go to this restaurant every day. And I would say, if you took it out of the context of Louis and Claudia, and in his mind, he's, trying to, rectify with his daughter, it's kind of creepy. Like, he comes up there every day, every night. He's waiting for her to get there. He even goes and looks her up and finds out about her. Finds out she didn't have her OnlyFans, credit card scams. Like, really, she just trying to make it. Like, she hustling, trying to, trying to survive. And she's like, she shares a flat with all these other people. There's mice. And he was like, well, be lucky that that's not rats and things of that such. But even before we get to that point, you can tell that they're drawn to each other. And she's trying to figure out why he's drawn to her. And he's kind of skirting around it, but he finally tells her it's about this book, the interview with the vampire. And she's like, oh, I heard about it. And he said, no, it's real. And he pretty much, I would say, kind of tells her to go home and read it. And she does. And I think he starts leaving her a big tip because she's like, I looked you up and I found out you're one of the like richest men in the world, like 566 or whatever. Because Louis he's a capitalist. Above all, Louis gonna get his coin. That's the pimp in him, okay? Now he a pimp with a limp, but that is the pimp in him. And they start bonding, even though we already know they share a bond, because as the audience, you like, is this really Claudia? Because I mean, we know it's Delaney Hales, the actress, but is that really Claudia? Or is that Regina? Because she looked just like Claudia, but is it Regina? Like, you really go back and forth trying to figure out. That Louis thinks it's Claudia. She looks, talks, sounds like Claudia, but she's now Regina. And throughout their repeated interactions, we see where she starts to warm up to him, and she's pretty much like, "Hey, if you're gonna give me $1,000, that's nothing to you." And he was like, "What, $100,000?" She's like, "5 times that." And at first she is not receptive of him. She's like, "Oh, you're just gonna come in here. You want to save me? I'm not your dead daughter." And she kind of puts him, not kind of, she does put him out the diner, but she goes out and she talks to him, and that's when he's like, "I know all about you. I just want to help." And she's like, "I don't want to help. I don't want your help." But once again, he's outside the diner this time in his car, and she sees him, and she's like, "Come on in." It outside of this um outside of this perspective, it does give stalker vibes, but it's Louis, and he's trying to get back to Claudia because he killed Bruce last episode, and that really didn't do much for him. Like, even after he killed Bruce, we felt it in the episode that he still felt hollow, and he really just needs to see Claudia himself and be in the presence of her, and he's getting that through Regina. And she starts to open up. She's more receptive of him. They're talking, they're having discussions, and he's like, "I have to leave." And she's like, "Because of the sunlight?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we even understand it, even though she's supposed to be immortal in this moment, a different person, a Regina, she already understands him and already is, I guess, drawn to him and understanding, and not just understanding, but a deep bond, like almost already a love for him or an appreciation of him. And that's what it kind of feels like. Okay, so this is Claudia, because she already knows him. And then their last interaction, she goes into Claudia's voice and she calls him Daddy Lou. And it's like, what? And it's like, hold on. Regina, Claudia, what? I know I'm missing some parts of the episode, but those are the ones that really stuck out to me. I really do. I love everything about the episode, really the season thus far. But I do enjoy that we got to see more of Daniel and Armand. And once again, like, if there's anybody that I'm starting to figure out who is the hardest to figure out, it is Armand. Cause it's like, girl, I thought you was crazy over Lestat. And then you try to act like you was crazy over Louis, but we know it was to only get back at Lestat. But now Lestat kind of dropped a bomb, and he was like, the love that he was acting like that he was hiding behind, it was really the love of you. And it would make sense, because why else would Armand have spared Daniel 50 years ago? And then the only vampire that he's ever made is Daniel. So I gotta read these books, but whoo, I absolutely loved it. I did watch episode 4 of After Dark for Lestat, and I'll come back for that one as well. But if you have any, if you enjoyed the episode, let me know. Or if there's anything that I missed, let me know. Or anything that you thought from a different perspective.